Yeah, By Design is a consulting firm that helps business owners discover what's next. As we've grown companies, everyone always asks, what's next, what's next, what's next? And a lot of owners haven't had time to think about it. So the whole point of By Design is we're going to help owners figure out what's next, help them navigate the challenges of growing, and hopefully create a roadmap to where they could potentially exit if they want to, when they want to, how they want to. I would love to say we just put it in a chat GPT and it spit out this, great name for us. But really one of our core philosophies at By Design Advisors is you have to be intentional in everything you do. If you're not intentional about it, you're leaving it to chance. So it could be anything. When you're hiring, don't leave your teams to chance. We need to be intentional about how we hire, how we select, how we train, develop, advance people. Your financials, you need to be very intentional about financial. What are the metrics we're going to track? So it's just not leaving things to chance. It's being intentional and setting up processes. So By Design Advisors, we were very intentional in our name, and everything we do with clients, everything we do internally, we do it by design, not leaving it to chance. Yeah, the best thing about a roadmap is everyone just wants to know how to get somewhere. They want the end point, right? Just tell me how to get to 5 million in revenue, how to get to 10 million in revenue. How do I get to Chuck E. Cheese from here? I might have just dated myself with that reference, and what everyone has to remember is I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? By Design Advisors. Where are you starting from? And I think that's a key step. So the roadmap, the first step is we got to figure out where you are today. No right or wrong answer to that, right? It's just what it is. So our roadmap it's a simple 3-step process. It's not rocket science. It's where are you today? We got to figure that out. Then let's figure out where you want to go. And then together, let's create that roadmap and be very intentional about how we're going to get there. Yeah, it's an interesting word. It's a powerful word in my opinion. A guide helps you get somewhere, right? Like if you're not going to go climb a mountain you've never been on before without a guide. Everyone likes to take vacation, go deep sea fishing, right? You don't rent the boat yourself and just drive out in the ocean and cast the line in, right? You get a guide. These folks that help you, they have experience, they have a process, a framework, some knowledge about what you're trying to do, and the guide is not the hero of the story, right? They're just helping you get to where you want to go, and that's what we want to do. We want to partner with folks that have an idea of where they want to go, but maybe they're stuck, maybe they're uncertain, maybe they just don't have the confidence and knowledge, and we're going to help you get to where you want to go. Yeah, and it's interesting because I did a self-awareness training everywhere I've been because I think it's so important. Mostly everybody has 3 critics. I always use mom as an example. She's your loving critic. No matter what, you can do no wrong. You're perfect. Every idea is wonderful. So if you talk to that person, everything's great. Then you have your harshest critic who they don't really want you to succeed. So every idea is too big. So you got to find that loving critic who will listen to you, but tell you when you're doing something right, can tell you, hey, Marty, you're on the wrong path here, or maybe you should try this. And I think what By Design can do is be that loving critic / guide for you. We've been there, we've done this, we have a framework, we have a process. We can kind of say, hey, that's good, but here's a better way of doing it. Yeah, we have 3 that we really focus on and share because they're so powerful, I think. 80% of business owners' net worth is tied up in their business one way or another. That's a lot, right? 80% of the value of an organization isn't on the P&L sheet. So again, how do you measure it? How do you figure that out? And then the scary, scary, scary one, in my opinion, is 80% of businesses that try to sell don't. 80%. So 8 out of 10 companies aren't going to transition, aren't going to sell. They're not going to be able to get that 80% value out of the company. Yeah, so the organization is probably the owner's biggest asset and its biggest liability. You might have $1 million in the bank. your company's worth $9 million. So on paper, you're worth $10 million, but you're not. Right? Because that 9 million is only on paper. Until someone strokes you a check and pays you 9 million for your organization, you don't have it. So how do you harvest that value? How do you get that value out of there? Or better question, how do we increase that 9 million to 10, 11, 12, 14, 18, 20 million and get you where you need to be? Yeah, let me just quick HR math on this, because when I say HR math, I was an HR person for a big part of my career. Math was not my strong suit, so I like simple numbers. Let's say you have $1 million in your bank. You've already done the math with your financial advisor. You know you need $10 million to call it quits, retire. But your business is valuated at $5 million. 5 million plus 1 million, you've got 6 million. You have a $4 million wealth gap. How are you going to close it? You only have two choices: cut back your retirement lifestyle or increase the value of your business. By design, we think we can help you increase the value of that business to get you, again, where you're intentionally trying to get to. So circle back to my HR math example. 10 million, I've got $400,000 that I can live on a year. Great. Can do everything I want to do, right? But if I only have the 5 and the 1, I'm cutting that in half. So where are you going to make those cuts if you're not going to increase the value of your business?
Right.
And I always like to say, can you afford to be part of that 80%? Probably not. And there's a plethora of reasons as why they don't transition, why they don't sell, right? It could be everything from owner dependency, client dependency. You don't have the right team, right structures, right whatever. But it's a scary number that, again, you need to start thinking of 3 years ago. But if you didn't do it 3 years ago, starting today is the next best time. And get intentional about where you're going. There's a gazillion, I don't know the stats on how many small businesses there are in the USA right now. It's a ton. You're not the only fish people are looking at. So how do you stand out in a crowded field? And by design will help you do that. Yeah, one interesting quote, I'm a big quote person, and a quote I heard recently that really hit home is, and it wasn't for business, but it works, is you got to give time, right? And when we're talking about some of this stuff, right, yeah, you may not have your value that you need today, and it may not be a year from now, but if you give time, and you do the right things, you're going to get there. So one of the things that's one of my intentions going into 2025 is give time for everything, personal, professional. Just give time to work. If you're doing the right things, it'll happen. It's not, believe it or not. And I know we all think it's the product or it's the whatever, and sometimes it is, but the majority of the time, it's the intangible assets. It's what we call the 4 C's. It's your human capital, it's your client capital, it's your structural capital, and it's your social capital, right? So that's where 80% of your value lies. And I've learned in my career, a lot of folks neglect these 4 things, right? They just want to focus on profit and revenue. If I can get profit and revenue to look good, everyone will, that solves all problems. And revenue and profit does cover up a lot of warts. But if you're not being intentional in those other 4 areas, you're not attractive. Advoco had off the charts human capital. I think they had off the chart client capital. The customers we had, the types of customers, the different sizes, that we weren't relying on just one big fish to feed the entire company. And so when you start looking at what is attractive to potential buyers, right? If you have great people, great clients, my gosh, who wouldn't, a company that's looking to grow, why would they not want that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. One, we're here for the owner. Like we are not really the transaction at the end. To be honest, we don't care if you ever exit. The M&As, the bankers, they're looking for that. Hey, when the transaction happens, they want to go. We want to work with the owners. We want to be your trusted advisor, your trusted guide. We want to help you achieve your goals and get to where, and I think that's different. You'll find a lot of folks on the front end doing evaluations and all that. You'll find a lot of folks on the back end doing the transaction, but that middle space of someone that's been there, done that, has a proven framework, methodology, experience, certifications, that's, I think, what separates us from the market. No one's really in the corner fighting for the owner.
Right.
And that's what we want to be. And I'm going to say something that might be morbid, might be a little scary to folks. Every business is going to transition.
Yes.
One way or another. It could be death. It could be, so take control. Yeah, it was a term fairly new to us when we started to get into this game, but it's Certified Exit Planning Advisors. It's administered by the Exit Planning Institute, which is literally the industry-leading credential for professional advisors in this space. So it's kind of the best credential you can have. So we knew if we were going to do this, we wanted to be the best of the best. So we went and got that certification, which pairs very nicely with our experience growing companies, with experience exiting companies. We're expertise. We have expertise in human productivity tools, and just so combine our experience with what we've done, that certification just fit in very nicely. It really puts it all into perspective because it's all about driving value. So the Certified Exit Planning certification is all about how do you drive value into the business, and really every decision you make along the way, or a business owner makes, it's either increasing value or decreasing value, right? And when you start to look at it like that, paired with our experience in the framework, again, it just allows you to be very intentional about what we're doing. Yeah, and to me, it's the biggest gap in corporations, right? And it kind of almost goes back to one of the 4 C's. If you don't have the right people, you're not going to be able to execute on what you want to execute on. And to your point, an idea is great, but if it's not executed, it's worth nothing. So relentless execution is just a framework, a 90-day framework we use of where we intentionally set goals. We pick 2 or 3, and then for 90 days, we attack it relentlessly. And we have a whole cadence and frequency and method of what we're going to do over the next 90 days. And then at the end of the 90 days, what I love about this whole framework, end of the 90 days, you ask one question and one question only.
What is that question?
Is it done? And you get to say yes or no. Now, if it's no, you can kind of expand on, well, what happened in the chat. But you don't get to say, well, I got 80% of it. No. Is it done? Yes or no? So we have another saying, again, I'm a quote person. You're gonna get sick of hearing me quotes, but it's people have to weigh in to buy in. As an owner, you can walk into the room and say, here's the 3 things I want you guys to execute on. Go do it. I'll be back in 90 days. Again, it's a strategy. We have a framework where we get the team together. We brainstorm, we go through a process. Again, by design, we are walking a team through a process. And at the end of this whole process, take anywhere from 2, 4, 6 hours, depending on the size of the team, they get to choose, with some facilitation and guidance from us, the 3 big rocks they're going to attack over the next 90 days. So it's not the owner, it's not the boss saying, here's what we're going to do. It's the actual team that's going to be responsible for executing, weighing in, buying in, agreeing that these are important, and then attacking them relentlessly over the next 90 days.
Yeah.
What's working? Because it's important, but you need to know what's working so you can keep doing it. What's missing and what's broken? And really, it's those simple 3 questions, and you just throw everything on the wall. Nothing is too big or too small to make a list, and it's amazing what kind of comes out. And people will even start going, "Oh, well, no, Marty, your group's working. Your group's doing awesome." And it's almost like a team building in a way, but you're also getting. You're building trust, you're building relationships, but you're also making progress towards these strategic initiatives. So it's a really great exercise that I think has multiple benefits. Well, you can do it on a process. Let's just take hiring. You could pull a team together and say, what's working in our hiring process? What's missing in our hiring process? What's broken? And you can scale this up, down, across organizations. It's an amazing one of our core values is simplicity over complexity. And we love these simple tools that are easy to implement and easy to execute, because if it's not easy to execute, it's not going to happen. Everyone's too busy. I think everyone's walked into a meeting, a conference, and just not been prepared. Maybe it's college, or something. Maybe last week. But when you're not prepared, or don't have the knowledge, or don't understand a process, you just aren't confident in having that conversation, right? So if you're not confident, if you don't know this stuff, and somebody calls you and says, "Do you want to sell your business?" You're automatically at a disadvantage, right? Because this is what these people do every single day, all day long. They just do this. So they're experts at what they're doing. You might do this one time in your entire life. But once you understand what they look for, what they value, how you, again, become intentional and do this stuff, it just gives you that confidence to now go toe to toe, have that conversation. When that phone rings and says, "Have you ever thought about selling your business?" "Yeah, I have." What are you thinking? And you're already, now you've kind of got an idea of where your strengths are, where your maybe risks are, and now you're on an even playing field with that person on the other end of the line, which I think, again, it's not a tangible value, that's a dollar amount, but it could be, right? If you now know and can get a couple extra $1,000,000, and again, it's just confidence, right? Once you know the game, it's more fun to play. There's nothing worse than playing a game where you don't know the rules, you don't understand we play a game up north called euchre, and it can be very confusing if you don't know it. I love playing. When people say, "Yeah, I've played a couple times," like, sit down. I'm gonna take your lunch money. But again, once you learn and once you get confident, you just get better at playing it. And so that's kind of what By Design helps the owner do. And again, you asked me earlier what makes us different. I think that's it, right? We're teaching the owners the game. We're teaching them what people look at. We're teaching them the rules of the game. Yeah, the best way is obviously website. ByDesignAdvisors.com. Advisors does have an S on the end of it. I know some people forget that. You can also find Marty, myself, Tom on LinkedIn. Reach out to us there. We post a lot of these tidbits and stats on there. Reach out to us. We'd love to just talk. Like we call them meaningful conversations. Just schedule a call. We just happy to talk with you about the process, where you at, what's keeping you up at night. And, we like to say, we'll give you the no chip. And if we have a conversation that's not for you, we understand. But we're always here to answer any questions. We're very helpful. We don't charge per phone call or anything like that. Just go to our website, give us a call, and we can figure out what's next. Pick up the phone. Let's have a conversation. Again, part of it is what's next, right? Like we don't know if we can help you until we talk.